My name is Anita. I'm sitting in the warm afternoon sun of my expansive private backyard, sipping freshly brewed espresso. A gentle breeze rustles through the mature oak trees surrounding my secure luxury villa. A few feet away on the manicured green lawn, my son Max is happily crawling toward a pile of brightly colored blocks. He's almost a year old now, healthy, thriving, and completely shielded from the toxic manipulation that once plagued my life. Sitting in the lounge chair right next to me is Ethan, my former brother-in-law. We share a quiet knowing smile as Max knocks over a tall tower of blocks and giggles loudly. Ethan is no longer just my former brother-in-law, he's my chosen family. We survived the same nightmare and walked out of the fire together. He brings his kids over every single weekend, ensuring our children grow up surrounded by genuine love, absolute respect, and unbreakable moral boundaries. But it wasn't always like this. Let me take you back to the darkest days of my life. I grew up in an orphanage. My parents died in a car accident when I was just a toddler. I clawed my way up from nothing, securing scholarships and building a successful career as a forensic accountant. I thought I had found my happily ever after when I met Ryan. He was charming, confident, and seemed to have his life together. We got married, and soon after, Max was born. But the reality was far from what I expected. Just 3 weeks after Max's birth, I was still recovering from a C-section. I was in excruciating pain, and Max was crying non-stop. Ryan, on the other hand, was calmly packing his designer swim trunks. "Ryan, please, you can't leave right now. My incision is bleeding again, and Max has a high fever." "I can't do this alone," I pleaded, clutching my abdomen. He sighed loudly, as if I was an annoying child. "I've been working extremely hard as a regional sales manager. You just stay home all day and do nothing. All I hear is a baby screaming and you complaining. I'm going to Bali for 2 weeks to get my sanity back. Don't call me unless someone is dead," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. With that, he turned his back, walked down the hallway, and slammed the heavy front door behind him. I dragged myself to the window and watched his black BMW speed away. I was left alone, a successful forensic accountant reduced to a weeping mess on the bedroom floor. I managed to clean my wound and soothe Max to sleep. As I stared at his peaceful face, a cold, calculating clarity washed over me. Ryan thought I was a weak, dependent woman who would cry and wait for him to return. He had completely underestimated me. 3 hours later, I heard the distinct metallic click of the front door unlocking. It wasn't Ryan returning with a guilty conscience. It was my mother-in-law, Victoria, and my sister-in-law, Lily. They used the emergency spare key I had foolishly given them months ago. They marched straight into the kitchen and started to take my custom espresso machine. "What exactly are you doing in my house?" I asked, leaning heavily against the door frame, my legs trembling. "Ryan called us from the airport lounge. He said he needed some space from your constant crying. Since you're just nursing all day, you don't need high-end caffeine. Lily is hosting an important brunch tomorrow, and this machine will look perfect on her counter," Victoria said casually. I was stunned by their audacity. "You're breaking into my house to steal my coffee machine just because your son abandoned his bleeding wife and sick infant to go on vacation?" I asked, keeping my voice dangerously level, despite the rage boiling inside me. Lily rolled her eyes and scoffed. "Oh, stop being so dramatic, Anita. Ryan is the sole financial provider for this family. He's under immense pressure. The least you can do is let him breathe and enjoy a vacation." Victoria then turned to me, her cold eyes scanning my body judgmentally. "Look at yourself, Anita. You've completely let yourself go. No wonder Ryan needed to escape this miserable environment. Men like Ryan have high standards. You grew up in an orphanage with nothing. You should be grateful he even married you." I wanted to scream at them, but my forensic accountant brain took over. I took a deep breath and said, "Take the machine. Take it right now and get out of my house." Leave the spare key on the marble island before you walk out that door. They left, thinking they had one. Little did they know, they had just sealed their own fate. I walked into our shared home office. As I sat in Ryan's leather executive chair, my elbow accidentally knocked over a stack of manila folders. Hidden beneath them was Ryan's old iPad. As the folders hit the screen, the device woke up, and a synced text message from his 23-year-old junior sales assistant, Ava, flashed across the screen. "The paradise in Bali is ready, Daddy. I can't wait." My heart sank. Ryan wasn't on a mental health retreat with his friends. He was on a romantic getaway with a younger woman, using my postpartum struggles as an excuse to abandon his newborn son. I became a forensic accountant once again. I connected the iPad to my secure corporate network server and easily bypassed the lock screen. I found receipts for first-class international airline tickets for 2, a luxury oceanfront suite for 14 days, and 5-star dining reservations. The payment method was a banking routing number I didn't recognize. Digging deeper, I discovered that Ryan had drained $80,000 from Max's college savings fund, which I had painstakingly built over the years. Only $10,000 went towards the Bali vacation. The remaining $70,000 was wired to a newly formed limited liability company, Bali Investments LLC, which he registered just 2 weeks before Max was born. Tracing the money further, I found that the $70,000 was used as a cash down payment for a brand new, fully loaded Porsche Cayenne registered in Ava's name. Ryan had not only cheated on me but also committed grand theft against his own infant son. I compiled all the evidence into a highly encrypted digital folder. I was no longer a betrayed wife, I was a prosecutor building a case against a criminal. I called Ryan from his escapade in Bali. When he answered, the sound of heavy bass and electronic club music filled my ear. "Ryan, you're not networking with the guys. You're in an oceanfront luxury suite in Bali with Ava. While you're playing sugar daddy, I've been looking into Bali Investments LLC," I said calmly. He laughed and tried to gaslight me, saying I was delusional due to postpartum depression. But I wasn't going to be fooled. I listed all his crimes, and his tone changed. He threatened to take full legal and physical custody of Max, force a partition sale of our $1.5 million house, and leave me broke. Just then, the doorbell rang. It was Ethan, my brother-in-law. He was a tall, heavily built IT cyber security expert, a beacon of morality in Ryan's shallow family. He brought me food, baby supplies, and an encrypted USB drive. "Anita, I intercepted an encrypted digital file that Ryan forwarded to Lily for safekeeping. He's trying to steal the equity in your house. He's in the final stages of taking out a $180,000 home equity line of credit using your forged signature," Ethan said. I was shocked but also determined. Ethan's evidence was the final piece I needed. I hired a ruthless divorce attorney, Amelia, a former federal prosecutor. She immediately initiated a legal lockdown. I rerouted my corporate salary to a new private checking account, froze my credit, and withdrew 50% of our joint accounts. I also canceled all joint credit cards. Ryan was completely oblivious, thinking his master plan was working. I also made sure his professional life would crumble. I discovered that he had used his company's financial infrastructure to wash the stolen funds, implicating his employer in a federal wire fraud scheme. I compiled a comprehensive whistleblower dossier and sent it to his company's executive board. A week later, Ryan's mother, Victoria, showed up at my door with furniture movers, trying to take my custom mahogany dining table. I refused, and she threatened to call the police. But I was ready. I had already filed an emergency temporary restraining order against her. When the police arrived, they served her with the order, and she was humiliated in front of the neighbors. I then sold the house to a corporate real estate flipping company for $1 million in cash. I hired a packing service to move my belongings to my new luxury gated community. When Ryan returned from Bali, He was shocked to find his once beautiful home reduced to a construction site. The foreman told him the house had been sold by a legal entity, and his name was nowhere on the deed. He tried to call me, but my number was disconnected. He then found out that his credit cards were declined, and his bank accounts were frozen. His mistress, Ava, also blocked him after the car was repossessed due to the fraudulent down payment. Desperate, he went to his mother's house. But his family was in chaos. Victoria was in debt, and Lily was facing a divorce from Ethan. Ethan had found out about Lily's complicity in Ryan's schemes and was filing for divorce and seeking full custody of their children. Ryan's world had completely fallen apart. He was fired from his job, facing a federal wire fraud investigation, and had no place to go. Now, as I sit here in my new home, watching Max play, I'm grateful for the strength I found within myself. I learned that I don't have to tolerate disrespect. I have the right to stand up, gather evidence, protect my assets, and dismantle the fake reality that toxic people try to impose on me. If you're in a similar situation, know that you're stronger than you think. You can break free and claim your new life.